back and let's take a look at the scheduling for the reports. So I'm going to use this at-risk summary report again. And you notice on the very left of this section of the reporting system, there's a little clock up here. And if you see a clock in any row, then it indicates that there's one or more schedules that have been set up for this particular report. So I'm going to come in here and right-click and click Schedule. So what it's going to do, it's going to take me to the scheduling system for this particular report. And then I'll be able to set up a schedule the way I want. Now, you can see when I entered the scheduling system, it says there's no job schedule for this report, and there wasn't the little clock next to its name either, so that kind of tells you that. So what you do in here is you can run it right now if you want, or you can create a schedule. So I'm going to create a schedule. So when you click Create Schedule, the screen changes to a screen that has 4 different tabs on it. And the reason that little loading button, that little loading message appeared is because it's populating the parameters page here, which we'll be going to just in a moment. So right now, it kind of reminds you that this is the at-risk summary report. And you've got the first page is the schedule. So if you don't, you can do a fairly simple schedule where you just want it to run once on a particular day and time. So you can just use your calendar if you want. Say I want this to run on Sunday at 9 o'clock, and be done with it. And then it would just run on that date and time. Or you can define a recurrence type. And there's 2 different types of recurrence. One is a simple recurrence, which basically says start on a repeat it every certain number of days, hours, minutes, or weeks, and run it at a particular number of set runs or at a specified date. So what you would do in this situation is you would start with a specified date, like let's say the 30th, and then it would run every day after that for a certain number of days, or it would stop after a certain amount of time. So that's a simple recurrence. Then you have calendar recurrence, which is a little more popular. This is more like Outlook, where you can have it run every month or selected months. So if you do the selected months, you can just pick the months you want, and I think you can hold the Control key down and pick whatever months you want in this list. Or you can have it run every month. Then you have the days of the month, so you can have it run every day or only on Sundays, for example. So you hit that radio button and say, I just want it on Sundays. Or I want to have it run on the 5th day of the month. So this is the day number 5 of every month it would run. Okay. And then over here, you tell it what time of the day you want it to run. And they use a 24-hour clock. So if you want to run at 9 o'clock, you can just put a 9 in there. So it would run at 9 a.m., and this is the minutes. So if you wanted to run at 9:15, you just put 9:15, and it would run at 9:15. So in terms of the schedule now, it's going to run forever. If you put an end date, it will run until that date, and then it won't run after that. So we could pick a date here. We could go out to, let's say, December 31st. So I don't want it to run after December 31st. Now the next page over is the parameters that you saw before. Now, with the way the scheduler works, the little collapsing things don't work on it. So there's a scroll bar over here, and you can just scroll up and down to pick the items you want in the various groups. It's just it's a quirk of the Jaspersoft scheduling system. It doesn't support those little collapsible lists. So you can do the exact same thing I did before. So here's where you probably want to do a month minus 1 kind of thing, for example. So I want to have this run once a month on the 5th of the month for the previous month worth of data. So I already set it to run on the 5th of the month at 9:15 in the morning, and the parameters are going to be for the previous month, and then I can pick whatever I want from any of these lists. So I can just scroll down and pick whatever I want for those lists. So pretty straightforward. Or if you want, you have your little option set there. So you could just pick the AEP Ohio option set if you want. It would set it the way you want. Then you can go to the output options. And for the output options, you'll need to give it some file name. It gives a default file name for you. You don't have to change it if you don't really want to. You can give it a description if you want. And generally, you don't really have to change the time zone. You can kind of ignore that. That just specifies the time zone of when it's going to run. And then you have the format. So if you remember when I was running the report interactively, I could export to any of those formats. So you can do the same thing here. So you can export to PDF and SLX if you want, and even a Word document. So I could have it generate 3 different file outputs. Each one will have this extension. So it'd be the at-risk summary report.pdf or SLX or docx. So that's how it'll work when it generates the output. And then the last page here is a notification page. So the way this works is you're going to put an email address that you want to have the report sent to. So I'll put myself. And if you wanted to have it send you job status notifications, so let's say you're setting this up to send to 2 or 3 different people, you can put a comma-separated list of email addresses right here, and then it will send once it runs the report, it'll send it to each of the 3 people as attachments. You might want to get notified that the report ran and it went out, so you could put your own email address over here in the job status notification section. Then you give a little subject. And then you have options for sending success information or just failures, and you put messages in here and so on and so forth. So you can get as complicated as you want. And you can CC or blind CC other people. And again, have a message. This is the message that will be included in the body of the email, and this is the subject for the email. And then down at the bottom, you can see that it's going to include the report files as attachments. If you want, you can have it zip them for you. You can also use this little checkbox where if the report ran and there were no results, in other words, it was empty, it wouldn't bother sending the email out. So that's kind of an option that you have. So there you go. So now you've got, here's the notification of where the report's going to go. Here are the different file formats that I wanted to send. Here are the parameters that I've chosen. There's a schedule that I wanted to run. So now I just click the Save button. It's going to ask me for a job. Give it a name. And click Save. And then what it will do is it's going to put it on that list that we saw when we came into the scheduler. So there it is. So here you can see there's my schedule and the owner, and it's normal, and it hasn't run yet. So this last run isn't filled in. This is just it's scheduled to run on November 5th at 9:15 a.m. and it's enabled. If I want to turn it off and not have it run, I can just disable it. So you can come in here and enable and disable them. You don't have to delete it. You can just turn it off, and it just suspends it. It doesn't run. If you want to make some changes, you just click the pencil, and it'll go back and edit. So now let's go back to, oops, I should have enabled that probably. Nope, it's still there. So now you can see the little clock is there. So that tells you that there's a report that's been scheduled to run. And if you click the clock, it should take you right back into the scheduler, and you can see what is scheduled for that.